All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Millennial Trade. So, honestly, I was not watching the markets today. As you guys know, I did very well this week. And so I just made a decision today. I was going to take a break. I was going to take the day off from the markets. There was really no reason for me to trade because, I just figured I should quit while I'm ahead, right? So that's what I did. I wasn't really watching any of the charts or anything. I kept up with some of the macroeconomic news, and we will go through that. We've got more news with the FTX fallout. Bankman-Fried is applying for bankruptcy, and there's a lot of people still holding the bag on this, and it's causing a lot of turmoil in the crypto markets. So we're going to go through all of that. I want to go through a few other things as well, including the speculation, right, as to whether or not the Fed is going to slow the rate hike pace going into December. You know, what are they going to do? Is it going to be 50 basis points, or is that all this dovish talk? Is it just nonsense? I want to go over that a little bit and kind of discuss what I think might happen. I think a lot of people are betting that, interest rates are still going to go up at a substantially fast clip. So there's that to talk about. Also, I want to get into, at the end of the video, after we go through the business and stuff, the economics, I want to get into the political situation right now, what I think is going on with, the rivalry between Trump and DeSantis, what I think might be going on here with a lot of these, alternative media conservatives are kind of turning on Trump right now. So I want to go over that and discuss it a little bit. And discuss what's going on in Arizona with Kari Lake. As of making this video, we still don't have any news about Arizona's race. Let's see. And they're still dropping off ballots, right? They're still bringing ballots in, apparently. So that's definitely something that I want to hit here. So let's go ahead and get into this. The Dow lost more than 100 points on Friday. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ were flat. So the stocks ended the week extremely higher. Today was kind of flat. And we'll have to see what happens next week. I think some of these stocks popped up into supply areas. So I won't be surprised if we see a sell-off a little bit next week. But I could be wrong about that. Maybe there's some bullish momentum here. We'll just have to monitor things and see if we can figure out what the sentiment is. You also have Sam Bankman-Fried's exchange FTX filing for bankruptcy, pushing cryptocurrencies sharply down while sending shockwaves through risk assets. With the whole FTX fallout and everything going on with crypto, especially because I'm invested and I trade fintech. So fintech is very sensitive to what's going on in the crypto market. So that's why I need to be careful and try to at least follow this stuff loosely, even though I'm not really in the crypto space. I don't care much about it personally. There was a sharper than expected drop in U.S. inflation yesterday, right? We came in at 7.7. Everybody was hoping for 7.9. If it came in at 7.9, that would have been pretty good for the markets. It came at 7.7 annual rate. And I think the core inflation was only up by 0.3. So that was down from the last couple of months. And then you had comments, from some of the Fed presidents, right? You had the Dallas Fed president, Lori Logan, and San Francisco's Fed president, Mary Daly, basically saying that, there was an 80% chance now of a 50% basis point rate hike. Do they really know? Is there a way to really, tell? I think, I mentioned this before in yesterday's video. The inflation target of 2% is actually a 2% average. If you really listen to what they're saying, it's a 2% average that they're after. So if you consider that, well, a 2% average over what? 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, decades, maybe a century. I don't know. I can't answer that question right now. I have to do more, reading and research about this. But it seems that the Fed, potentially, because they were under their 2% target for many years before, supposedly, they could leave the interest rates even higher. I think that's definitely a possibility. And I think that we have to consider this going into 2023, because if interest rates continue to go up. I even got one headline where they're saying it could go as high as 6%. And I was saying this yesterday, right? First they were calling for 5%. I think Steve Mnuchin was calling for 5.5%. Well, now they're calling for 6% interest rate hikes. Well, how do you get there? 75 basis point rate hikes over the next few months, right? And then maybe we see a slowdown. That is a possible outcome. I'm not saying that's what the Fed is going to do, but in my mind, that's a possible outcome. Why not? NASDAQ leads S&P, Dow with bond market closed for Veterans Day. I forgot to mention that, but the bond market was closed. So you had that as a factor with the market, right? The fact that there wasn't any volatility or anything going on in bonds because the bond market was closed left maybe some room for other markets. But you have commodities generally. Let me see here. I had one on commodities. Oil extending gains for the second day, but post a weekly drop. I'm going to look at just some of the commodities right here. Silver, for instance, back up around $22, right? It's at $21.66. But if you look at the silver chart, it could go either way, right? We could continue to go up or we could go down. Same thing with the gold chart. And as far as gold is concerned, until we hit like 2,500 or 3,000, what is there really to get excited about when it comes to gold? Gold at 1,700, 1,800, 1,600, it's kind of like old news. Even 2,000, it's old news, Let's see. Wheat is up 1.3% today. So if you're holding stocks like Oatly, that might not be the best thing here. So, just keeping an eye on these commodity prices. If commodities continue to go up, if the price of commodities continue to go up with the supply chain issues, that obviously isn't going to be good. It's not going to be good for any of us or the market. From the New York Times, as the Fed raises rates, worries grow about corporate bonds. So you might have some issues with the corporate debt, insolvency issues, and there's people that are involved in this. Same thing with these sketchy crypto sites. Moving on to Sam Bankman-Fried, he files for bankruptcy, resigns. Some people are claiming that he committed fraud. I mean, it sounds fraudulent if you're using depositors' funds for one like crypto or website, and then you're trading with that money. There was another guy too. I can't remember his name, but people are blaming this one guy for tweeting about FTX, tweeting about their insolvency, and then that's when everybody's, this guy caused a bank run with his tweets on FTX, and everybody starts, trying to get their money back, selling off their coins or whatever, putting their money back in the bank. $8 billion worth that's unaccounted for now. And Bankman-Fried was going around trying to get loans. You realize this guy was touted as like a genius. He was the Warren Buffett of crypto. I think even the Mad Money host, Kramer, called him the JP Morgan of crypto. So, yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried, you just got to be careful. There are so many scammers out there. I mean, this story is crazy. And to think about, all the other people that potentially could have had exposure to this. And not just this. This is why the entire crypto market is just, what does this mean for other exchanges? I even think about, like, how safe is Coinbase? It's a publicly traded company, so it's probably one of the more transparent. But still, I've heard all kinds of things about people keeping lots of Bitcoin on Coinbase, and then it gets stolen or Coinbase can confiscate it. I have heard horror stories like that. Bitcoin, this is from MarketWatch. Bitcoin will be the winner because Bitcoin is a digital commodity and it's the least controversial of everything. Some people believe that. I'm not sure. A digital commodity, we're really going to have to enter into this new digital metaverse world that all the, the lefties and the technologists want us to live in. We're going to have to get there first, and then we'll just have to see what happens with Bitcoin. I am holding $50 worth of Bitcoin that I bought like 2 months ago, and I'm waiting for lower prices. I'm waiting for 10K. Okay, I'm not even going to lie. I'm waiting for 10K on Bitcoin. I don't care what any of these crypto bulls say. Commodities surge. Here's my commodities article I was looking for earlier. Commodities surge as China cools COVID restrictions. I'm trying to understand, this article here, but if China is lifting some of the restrictions, and that's making commodity prices surge, it's just the instability in China, right? Going from lockdown to opening the economies up. And you got to think about how manufacturing is affected by these lockdowns. And this is one reason we're having so many supply chain issues. If those don't get fixed, we're going to be living in an America where a lot of these products just we can't get. They're either not being produced or we can't get them. Shortages will cause prices to go up as well. We just have to be prepared for this, and we need to be living way below our means, and realizing that every single day you should be putting something away, right? You should be thinking like that, like, oh, if I don't buy this, if I don't give in to this temptation right now, that's another $5 or $10 or whatever that I will have, going into the future. So thinking like this, whether you're shopping or I like to go out and at least window shop, right? Sometimes I buy clothes. I like to go around and look at things at the mall and stuff. I'm considering getting a new iPhone and just stuff like that. But it's like I've been putting off a lot of these kind of ideas. I want a new microphone as well. But it's, we have to be thinking, what do we really need right now? What can we do without? And, how can we cut costs here? So this is from Reuters. Fed seen slowing the rate hike pace as inflation eases. It's kind of like in the media, they were telling us how bearish everything was going to be, how bad the inflation report was going to be. Remember with the midterms, they told us, oh, there's going to be this huge red wave. None of the stuff that they predict in the mainstream media really ever pans out, I feel like. So, the Fed's seen slowing the rate hike pace. I don't know if I'm going to bet on that. We have to get to the rate hikes, which is, I think, later on. Or no, it's actually, I guess it's at the end of the month or maybe in the beginning of December. I think it might be in the beginning of December because we had the rate hike meeting for November and October. So I think it's like a month, the meeting is like a month before they actually raise the rates. Something like that. I don't know. But anyways, the rate hike pace, we'll just have to wait until we get closer to that day. Am I going to bet on a 50 basis point rate hike? Right now, I'm thinking not. I'm thinking however I'm going to trade that, I would probably bet on a 75 basis point rate hike right now. But we'll have to see. These Fed presidents that come out like James Bullard, right? He used to be really dovish, by the way. Now he's a hawk. But these guys, they flip-flop. One president says this, and then another guy comes out and contradicts him. So the Fed does this, I think, on purpose. They're trying to keep us off guard a little bit. I mean, they would be dumb if they weren't trying to keep us off guard. As long as the interest rates are not causing mass-wide political instability and riots in the streets, as long as they're not banging on the door of the Federal Reserve and, breaking the windows with American flag poles, as long as nothing like that is going on, the Fed is just going to continue these rate hikes, I think, until at least they get to 6%, right? Wall Street Journal says some investors bet the Fed could lift rates to 2-decade high. And I'm more in this camp right now. Wall Street is making a game plan for a Fed funds rate that some think could hit 6%, the highest since 2000. I watched this other video my brother sent me. I should have pulled it up here and played some sound bites, but there's people out there that are different economists that are saying, we could experience like a decade-long, recessionary event where prices are lower 5 years from now than they are today for everything: assets, stocks, commodities. Maybe prices will be lower. Much lower 5 years from now. So when you think about the stock market and the portfolio, I'm down about 5% right now. I'm just going to get used to being down. If the portfolio goes up, that's great, but I'm going to continue to add to it, but add to it extremely patiently. We have to be patient. There's no rush in buying stock. And I have to remind myself of that all the time. Let's see. We're already at 14 minutes, so this is going to be a long ass video. We'll go ahead and move on to the political commentary. Okay. they're baiting us. They're baiting all of us, right? All of us that are kind of distrust the media and, want to see changes in the Republican Party. They're baiting us, and they're baiting us with DeSantis, and they're baiting DeSantis with the idea of the presidency. They want DeSantis to take the bait. And I think the reason is because they're trying to divide the new Republican Party. That seems to be what the Marxist left media wants to accomplish. They want Trump out of the way. This is why they want everybody focused on DeSantis, because they just want Trump to go away. One of the main reasons I think they want Trump to go away is the trade agreements. Trump was trying to get more favorable trade agreements because we're being taxed so heavily to send all these products like to China, for instance, and then, our taxes to receive their products, it's just disproportionate. So Trump was trying to fix all that. But the politicians, on both sides have been selling this country out and lining their pockets. They're benefiting from these bad trade deals while the American people are suffering because of it. So that's one of the main things, and not to mention everything else they don't like about Trump. So they want everybody focused on DeSantis. And now you even have conservative media coming out, like the Daily Wire, and they're denouncing Trump. Candace Owens today called Trump, or maybe it was yesterday, angry, paranoid, said that he doesn't have any vision. So the Never Trumpers, they're coming out. They're showing their true colors, and we'll just have to see what happens here. If people take the bait, it could cause a huge divide in the Republican Party, and that's exactly what the left wants. I was watching this guy, Brian Craig, I think is his name. I might be wrong about that, but I think his name is Brian Craig. He's a Florida radio host, and somebody sent me this video, and I was listening to it. Here's another lie that we're being told, that Trump's candidates lost, that he lost the other night. And if you actually go to look into this, 95% of Trump's endorsements, and these are sometimes like lower level congressional seats and stuff, but like 95% of them got elected. But the mainstream media, of course, twists this and, only focuses on the few people who lost, some of the higher profile people who lost, and like Oz, for instance. And we don't know what happened in Pennsylvania, right? Fetterman was suing to have undated ballots counted. So how can I trust? Honestly, Pennsylvania's got to do what's right for Pennsylvania. Dr. Oz, being from, I guess, Connecticut or maybe New York, he wasn't from Pennsylvania. I think the Pennsylvanians didn't want somebody from outside governing them. But I still just cannot believe, Fetterman. But then you look at our president. You look at Joe Biden, you're like, well, they put, supposedly they put him in office too. This is what, I'm just skeptical. I cannot believe this shit. Going to AZ Central, the Arizona Central, I guess this is some sort of left media outlet. They tweeted today, Katie Hobbs holds her lead over Kari Lake after the latest ballot drop on Thursday night. What? This is one of the things that's really wrong with our elections, right? I remember as a kid, it was election day. We didn't have elections. I voted for Obama twice. Okay, we had election day. We did not have election season. There wasn't all this talk of millions of mail-in ballots. It didn't ever used to be like this. But we're being told, they keep gaslighting us until, there's always been mass mail-in ballots. There's always been millions of people voting through mail. I'm sorry, I do not believe it. The whole point of voting is, showing up, showing your face, right? If you're able-bodied. I understand older people or whatever, there's some reasons for mail-in ballots, but millions coming in. Still, Thursday night, they're still dropping on. This is what it says. After the latest ballot dropped Thursday night, the election ended Tuesday at 7. So they keep trying to explain this to me. I've got my Democrat family members and friends that keep trying to explain this is normal, right? Counting votes for days and weeks after elections. It's always been this way. I'm sorry. I remember the whole fiasco in Florida in 2000, right? I like some of the things Kari Lake says, right? And it's not just Kari Lake. She's a representation kind of maybe the new Republican Party. Some of the things we might like about the new Republican Party. You know, I love the way she, you know, goes on the offensive with the media, the way she talks to them, the way she dogs them. I love it. I love the fact that she doesn't wear a mask and she calls other people out that do wear masks. You know, I like this about her. But then I heard her on Fox News calling Katie Hobbs, her opponent, a convicted racist, which is not, you know, that's... When I hear this from people on the right, because it's not just Katie Hobbs, Trump does this sometimes, you know, people on the right, they use the same, I guess they're just trying to use the same tactic the left uses, but it's a huge turnoff when you see these people who you think are like, you know, more conservative, and then they're using the same inflammatory language that the left-wing Marxists use against them. It's, you know, but here's the thing about this gubernatorial race in Arizona. Katie Hobbs refuses to even debate Kari Lake, which I think is very strange. You know, she's either afraid or she just knows she's going to get annihilated. I mean, you know, she'll go on the media and kind of, I guess, by proxy debate some of the things that Kari Lake is saying, but she won't stand on stage and actually debate her. I think it's super corrupt. Obviously, what's going on in Arizona is extremely corrupt. We had problems with the presidential race in Arizona. It's a mess, but we're going to continue to focus on the financial markets, the economy, how we can make money. We want to focus on policy. I know I got a little bit into the drama here, but we want to focus on policy more than the politics. So hopefully, you know, we'll see. We'll see if we can't survive whatever is going on the next couple of years, especially with the 2024 presidential race. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of macroeconomic events to trade. So with that, I'll leave it there. Please give the video a like, comment down below, and follow me on Instagram @MillennialTrades. As always, until next time, I'll see you on the next video.